Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. My name's Pat. Welcome back to the channel. Well, I don't have any big projects going on today, and it's still early. The garden's not really looking tip-top shape, but certain plants in the garden are looking really good. So I thought I'd just give you a brief tour of what's looking really good in the garden and just maybe some of my favorite plants in general. Alright, let's start here. This is rhubarb. Maybe not one of my favorite plants, but it does have two big things going for it. It's perennial and it's edible. And any plant like that is great in my book. So it'll stay around. I will make an occasional rhubarb pie. Like I said, it's not my favorite, but it comes back every year. I don't really have to do anything, and it provides some food. And along on that same theme, here's my patch of raspberries. These are just wild black raspberries. I didn't plant them here. They just came up by themselves, and I've just kind of given them this space. And again, they don't take much effort on my part. In a couple weeks during the summer, I get to eat a lot of raspberries, which is great. Behind them you'll see these bigger shrubs. These are providing a shield basically between my backyard and my front yard, and they're a Viburnum. The variety is called Blue Muffin. Flowers are fairly small, but they're still early right now. They do provide an effective screen. I mean, they were really small when I planted them here probably 10 years ago. They're now probably about 8 or 9 feet tall. I guess what you could say one drawback of these is that they will attract a lot of insects, including a lot of bees. So if that's a problem for you, you really don't want them close to your house the way I have them, but it doesn't bother me, so I like them quite a bit. Alright, let's move over to the shadier part of the yard here. This is a big square bed that I think used to be some kind of water feature, but it's long since been filled in and made into a perennial bed. It's kind of a part shade, part sun bed. Here's one of my favorite perennials in this bed. It's called Brunera or Brunera. Has these great variegated leaves. I think this variety is called Jack Frost. And these kind of unique tiny blue flowers. I like those too. Yeah, this is a really good part shade or even full shade perennial. It does really well in this bed. I don't really have to give it any extra water. Does really well, and that foliage stays looking nice through the summer, well into the fall. Sometimes it takes a really hard frost before these leaves stop looking nice. And this whole part of the bed you can see is taken over by Rudbeckia, another favorite perennial of mine. Usually thought of as a full sun, but this bed I think just gets enough light in the afternoon for it to do well. You know, I will definitely feature that plant in future videos. I use it quite a bit. The centerpiece of this bed is this patch of Japanese painted fern, which I like a whole lot. Wonderful color. Does really well in the shade. Does really well in this bed. Just gets enough light, enough shade. It's even spreading around a little bit. About the only drawback I can think of this plant, because I really do like it a lot, is if you're trying to buy one at the nursery, they're pretty expensive. But if you got a friend that has a patch of them, get some. I recommend it. They're just getting started now, and they'll look even better later in the year. Alright, so let's go around the other side here. Some more viburnums. They're not growing quite as big in the shadier part of the yard, but still providing a pretty effective screen here from the road to the backyard. This is kind of a woodland shade bed I have over here. Lots of hostas and ferns. Ferns, one of my favorite ferns. Maybe my favorite fern. The Ostrich Fern. Just a great landscape plant for the shade. Especially if they get enough moisture. You can't really use them in a spot where it's dry, but they grow big, they spread around, they're easy to transplant, share with other people, move to other parts of your yard. They're pretty great. Mixed in with some daffodils here, and then quite a few different hosta varieties. I'm not even really going to try and tell you what all these hosta varieties are. I'm pretty sure the big light green one in the back there is Sum and Substance. I really like the larger hosta varieties in this bed. It's, you know, along with the ferns, they need a fair amount of moisture, but we have, luckily, all the moisture that comes down off of this hill, or down from the road up here, comes down through this bed and drains all the way back towards my pond way in the back. So this bed stays nice and moist. So over here next to some more large hostas and another painted fern. Another one of my favorites, especially in the shade. This is called Woodland Poppy. And I don't know, you don't see it in too many gardens. I'm pretty sure it's still available in nurseries for the most part. I got this from a friend of mine, and she has a really nice shade garden. In fact, I think almost all of these hostas probably came from her as well. She's a hosta fanatic. But woodland poppies, again, this type of year, we're past spring bulbs flowering. Not too much other stuff is flowering yet, and these are just flowering like mad. These beautiful yellow flowers. They spread around a little bit, but not so much, it seems, in my garden. They pretty much stay in this one big clump, but I like them a lot. They blend in really well with the ferns and the hostas and the other bulbs I have in here. More hostas and more ferns. But yeah, this, I'll show you again later on in the summer. This shade bed generally looks really nice. It's just getting started. I'll show you more of that later on in the year. So let's move on out here by the road. This is called Feverfew. It's a perennial herb. It reseeds like crazy. You can see it's turned itself into a borderline weed in my yard. It reseeds like crazy, but it does get these pretty nice yellow and white daisy-like flowers. It's pretty easy to pull out if it gets where you don't want it. And like this patch, for instance, once they're done flowering, I just drive over it with the mower. So works out pretty well. I like them. And this, I'm going to finish with the best for last here. This is flowering quince. Just a wonderful flowering shrub. I mean, people used to grow quinces, I think, back in the day for their fruit. And they have a really hard, bitter, tart fruit that if you added enough sugar to it, you could make jelly out of it. I don't know, maybe people still make quince jelly, I don't know. But there's quite a few nice flowering varieties bred for their flowers, including this one here. And I'm not sure what variety this is. I didn't plant this. It's been here since I bought the house, but I do love these wonderful red, bright red flowers. And this plant is growing out by a hot, dusty dirt road, and it's competing with moisture for a, I don't know, with 100-foot tall spruce tree here. And it just flowers like mad. It's really a great shrub. And I really wanted to share with you how great these flowers look. They're just amazing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little tour. I know that's a short video. some of the plants that I have in my yard. Thanks for watching, and I hope to be talking to you again soon.